Let's f***ing roll. All right, everybody, welcome back. We're in the McBaskett studio here in FOCO, USA. I'm Brad Banyas. You're listening to the SaltyMF Go podcast. Today, we're really excited to talk to someone who's been local in the Atlanta business community, not only as a chief executive officer, but an entrepreneur. She does a lot in the nonprofit area. She's just a wonderful person. And if I were a lady, I think her and I would have the same personality. So please welcome Karen Robinson Cope.
Brad, what a pleasure to be here. I think vice versa, buddy. I was a man. It's all about you.
That's right. I love it. I said, you and I were talking before, and the guys in the back go, usually we're a little worried that, like, you're not going to pull anything out of it. He goes, I think you and Karen are going to be fine.
I think we should have a weekly show. You know what I mean?
I would love that. I would love that. Definitely a better looking woman definitely draws more than a hairy old dude. I'll tell you right now.
Too fun.
So, I mean, you've just been part of the Atlanta tech community and media community, and I think you and I met. We actually met at some kind of event, and it was around, I think, the Players Lounge. I don't know what it was, but I immediately just said, I love this lady. I mean, I just absolutely love you. So, tell everybody. I'm just interested. As a woman, everyone's like, oh, women in technology, men in technology. I don't see it that way, and I guess I never have. But you've been in that space, and how have you been so successful? I know why you're successful.
Thank you.
So I mean, I know, but
Thank you.
For the audience that's dumb or someone doesn't get to sit down with you, what are some of the things why do you like the tech space, media space? So I'm going to shut up.
So great. It's a couple things. First of all, thank you so much for having me on. I love this place. This is the coolest place. Guys, you all need to come and hang out here because it is so fun. Let me start by saying I love Atlanta. Atlanta is a great place. I grew up in Singapore, Taiwan, and Korea. So I spent a lot of time. My father was not with the military, but he was with Litton Industries, and he supported a lot of kind of foreign governments back in the day. And so it was a great experience. Every summer, my parents would turn in their business class tickets because when you live overseas, every summer you get to come home for home leave. Right. So they would turn in their business class tickets, and that was before the internet, we would look at the globe and say, let's pick here. So I was in Moscow in 1976. Can you say more? I mean, lost my contact lens in Goom's department store. And I only say that, it was a great story, but I only say that because I think that made me who I am. Right. Living, kind of going around, and literally, that was back before the internet, so we'd have the little photos guide and look at, the Eurail pass and go from city to, one time I think I remember, I got on the wrong train, and my parents are waving at me, and I'm going down the road to Munich or something, and I quickly, I think it was 12, turned around and came back, and that's just part of life. Yeah. And I say that because I think Atlanta is just a new city. It's a diverse city. We have the number one transportation. We have a great mayor. We have a great governor. We have a great state. We have great companies. I think the latest statistic I heard is we have more Fortune 500 companies from multiple industries.
Absolutely.
Than any other city. Yeah. And it's vibrant. And I say that this international travel was important for me because it made me really take risks. My first CEO job, funny story, I was the youngest sales VP for National Data Corporation, which is before your time.
I know.
You know that? Okay.
I'm older than you think I am.
So
I just look good.
There you go. So I was the youngest sales VP, and the president at the time, a guy by the name of Mark Brownstein, called said one day, he said, Karen, I've invested in this company. You've said you want to be an entrepreneur, and that was before, this was in 1990? Yeah. This is before anybody knew what an entrepreneur was.
Wasn't the word of the day.
It was not a, quote, word of the day. And I remember that I said, sure. I said, but you can't afford to pay me because I'm making sales VP for fintech. You can't afford to pay me, so I'm going to do it all for free. Because I just started to hear about these guys on the West Coast that were making their options worth a ton of money. And I said, here's the deal. I'll work for free. I want 100% of my comp in equity and a big commission. And he goes, oh my God, Karen, this is heaven. I'm a startup. I don't have to pay you. Yeah. Come on board. I was there about 2 weeks, and I came back to him and I said, I'm quitting. I'll sell it all day long. You will never be able to deliver it. Good luck, Mark. I wouldn't put any more money in it. Funny story. I got a call 2 weeks later, and he said, Karen, we fired the CEO. Could you be our CEO? So I actually became a CEO in my late 20s.
That's awesome.
Is that a great story?
Yeah.
And I think I say that because, again, it's all about it's not only the risk, but it's the upside, kind of valuing risk versus reward. it was just a great experience for me. So you talk about the tech community. So when I first was raising money, first of all, there were no females on my cap table at all.
Yeah.
So it was a bunch of wonderful men. And my board, I'd go into a board meeting, and there'd be all these white guys,
All old dudes, all Southern dudes.
Southern dudes that probably had their seersucker suit on.
Yeah, exactly. I love seersucker suits.
I love seersucker. And I was a CEO. One quick story, and again, love these men because they were my mentors and they believed in me when nobody else did. But funny story, I would say something and say, boy, that is a nice looking hat. And nobody would say anything. And then one of the guys would say, that's a nice looking hat. And they'd all go, what a good looking hat. And I said, I just said that.
Yeah, it's like that FedEx commercial.
I just said that.
Wait, I just said that.
I just said that.
Great idea, Bob. Yeah.
It's and Atlanta's a great, and so the two comments I'll make was what was so great about Atlanta in those days is even though there weren't many, I was the first female, one of the first top, first female CEOs, raised quite a bit of money over my, had 4 companies, raised probably 150 million total between the 4, maybe more than that of the 4 companies.
A lot of money.
So yeah, and it was great because Atlanta's always been a welcoming community. I think early on, even though a lot of the early investors didn't quite connect with the female entrepreneur, now it's so common, but back then it was kind of unusual. They were so supportive.
In the South, too.
In the South, too. But here's the great thing about it. Once their daughters started to get jobs, I got so many calls from them saying, can you come mentor my daughter? Because, again, you were one of the first. And the women CEOs in town could not have been. I was with one of them, Yum Arnold, the other day. She's chairman of the Fed Reserve Bank, one of my dearest friends, a dear mentor. And I remember she surrounded me when she was, when I was just a young CEO and could not have been more supportive. So big plug for Atlanta.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much from Atlanta, so I've lived here most of my life. But I think Atlanta, the community, what people don't know, I think like 70% of the payment processing
is here
in Atlanta. Like, think of that in the world. Don't quote me. Maybe it's 67.5%.
It's a big number.
Yeah, it's a huge number. And I don't think people, they talk about Silicon Valley and things like that, but they don't really realize like there's technology roots in Atlanta. And we couldn't have started what we did without that. We had a lot of MSA guys came out.
A lot of MSA guys.
Yeah, a lot of my mentors when I was young came from MSA, which turned into be Dun and Bradstreet later.
Right.
But very, very grateful to those guys for a lot of painful lessons. But I think one thing that I've got kids that are going into college or wanting to go into college or thinking about going to college, and my dad told me, probably very much like you, I love your confidence. He said, when I said, what should I do? He said, you should go into sales because no one will ever tell you how much money you can earn. You'll always make what your worth is, like what you're actually, the value you bring, and you can go anywhere in the world you want. And I don't, like sales got such a bad kind of twist to it, and everybody just, your sales. But I mean, I'm telling y'all young people out there, you don't know what the hell you're doing. If you like people, I think that's one of the key things. You like people, you like engaging, and you like having relationships. I mean, I encourage you to do it because I wouldn't have been an entrepreneur or business owner if I hadn't done sales because it gave me the confidence to, someone says no, someone says no, something like, okay, just move on. So
exactly
anyways,
correct.
That was my ad. I'm sorry to take that away from Karen, but I just feel like you are definitely, I can see you as VP of sales. I could tell.
So yeah, so young. And the other great thing about, I think sales has such a bad reputation because you think you're pushing something. You're not. You're helping them solve a problem. Yeah. And when you think about sales as solving a problem, you started this company to solve problems, to kind of get the word out. Again, when you think about sales from that perspective, it's like, what a noble profession. Yeah. You're helping people solve problems.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's really, then as you move on to get into the more of the business side of it, it's the same thing.
Absolutely.
I mean, customers only use us outside of our other. Here, they just like it because we've got all the people that are missing their dads and stuff in the McBaskett studio. But where are you, Daddy? But I think that's true when you start a business. You have to have that passion. You want to solve a problem or you want to help someone. So I agree. I love business. I absolutely just love it.
In Atlanta, again, put another plug in for Atlanta.
ATL, baby.
ATL, baby, because, I mean, and now with Donnie Beamer's, just they're kind of the CTO of the city. I'm telling you right now, it's a great state. 10 years from now, Silicon who?
Yeah.
California what?
Yeah.
It's all going to be about Georgia, Atlanta, Again, when you think of the infrastructure, you think about the transportation. We recently heard the general manager of the airport come and talk to us about kind of what's happening there.
That's awesome.
Amazing that Atlanta is becoming, and now we're finally getting early stage angel investing money. We've always been pretty good at VC. We've had a fair amount of private equity. We've had a fair amount of corporate entrepreneurship,
Right.
but now we're getting more and more angels, which is what I am so passionate about, is that angel investing, helping those early stage companies.
Yeah, I know you are. I think that's how when we met and you were talking about some of the things you were doing, and I would say the state of California. No offense to all my buddies who live out there. I love coming there with you guys, but reality of leadership dictates how well your area or state or county does. I mean, leadership is so critical that whoever that leader is or group of leaders, that they really have the best interests of the community or the state.
100% correct. It's all about the community. It's not
Sorry,
about
Californians. Sorry. You're going to go to number 2, 3, or 4, maybe 5. But anyway, sorry, California Salty fans. We love you.
We love you too. But Atlanta, come to Atlanta.
But we're in the ATL, so. Well, so some of the things that you're doing now, I mean, like I said, you've had such a successful career in corporate and all you're doing. I saw where you're doing nonprofit, but like, what are some of the early stage investments and angel type things you do that you get excited about? Because I know what I get excited about now, and it's different than if I was.
I agreed. So I think a couple things. So let me start back, if I could, just a little bit. When I first became an entrepreneur, and again, it was before that word was really used.
Business.
I was so the whole entrepreneurship. Yeah. I became so excited because somebody gave me the capital to be able to build a business, which is just such a great, I don't want to call it American, but such a great concept. Yeah. So one of the things when I was blessed enough to be able to have some exits and to be able to get some nice returns, one of the things that became very passionate about was doing micro lending. So before micro lending was cool, so I'm kind of ahead of my time in a couple things.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you're really smart. So that's obviously, that.
But the whole thing about micro lending, so starting probably 25 years ago, started out in Tanzania working with my church, where we actually did, again, it was great to be able to provide infrastructure and housing and clean water, and those are wonderful things. But the thing, they say teach a person to fish, and I know that's a very overused word now,
True, though.
But it's so true. It's so respectful. And Americans are so generous, and yet sometimes I feel we get a little misguided because we're all about giving. And I think you're a father, and you don't want to give your kids everything. You want to help them. You want to help them achieve their success, enable them, but you don't want to just give them stuff. Right. And that's one of the things I'm so truly passionate about. I'm involved in a number of organizations. I was on the board of Opportunity International, which is the largest faith-based microlending. About 10 years ago, we loaned $1 billion. Wow. Average loan size was approximately $80. 90+% went to women, and it was a 98% payback. Now, couldn't Americans learn something from that? A 98% payback, which is just, and then you turn around and recycle it. So every dollar you're giving ends up being $7 or $8 or $9 by the time it gets cycled through. So I've been doing that. I'm currently on another nonprofit board, 2 of them, in fact. One of them is called the Himalayan Children's Charity. You need to come to one of these events. I've actually been to Nepal and absolutely loved it. Been there for 25 years. Dear friends of mine, Bruce and Susan Keenan. And 25 years ago, he was there on a trek, and he saw these poor children that were literally on the side of the road. So he went then and did started with kind of a school, and then education, then he kind of did a dorm. And I say that because those of us who've been blessed, such as yourself, it's all about, we have an obligation to give more back.
Absolutely.
And so for me, I get my passion first and foremost by my God faith, but also by giving back.
I love it.
And whether it's the Himalayas, whether it's in Tanzania, whether it's in Guatemala.
Oh, well, we'll support any of those causes.
I am just so passionate about that.
That's kind of what that's what this is about. It's honoring gritty, independent people, right?
Absolutely. I'll just say one other one that I just am so excited about is the Mission Hope. And we are really, again, doing sex trafficking prevention before it became kind of the people talked about it. And we've been in little villages in Indonesia for 20 years, really helping and showing young girls, young children about other ways. Education is so important. It's important to be able to show them how to earn a living besides using your body. Right. And again, I think back at some of these kids have gone on. I mean, one of our ones from Mission Hope, one of our ones from HCC, One of them is actually a doctor now in
awesome.
Australia. And you think about the impact we're having.
Absolutely.
It's so it's just amazing.
Well, those two things to me excite me because one of the things I really liked about you, I could tell that you were a giver and you were
Thank you.
and I think that's important in life that people, we all get self-focused and, kind of enthralled in stuff that really doesn't matter. But the reality of it is you think if you have kids, which I've had a lot, or anyone that has kids, just think about what if that was your daughter?
Yeah.
What was that?
What would you do?
Your son? What is it? And we just get so focused on shit that doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It just doesn't matter.
It doesn't, and the humanity of it, exactly correct. So that's one thing I'm passionate about. I've carried that on, and again, I've been an angel investor before that word was cool too, for probably 25 years, and I've had some really great successes. One of my great successes within fertility, our daughter's a fertility baby, and so she's 22 years old. I remember when she was just a little baby, and now she's graduating from college in 2 weeks.
Tears, don't cry.
I know, I'm not going to cry. But one of my great ones was one that did fertility benefits for companies, and that was a great win. I brought a number of investors in. Most recently, you and I both know Keith Marshall and Aaron Murray. They're two of my heroes. I adore them. Funny story, I met Keith I'm on the board of ACG, which is a M&A middle market nonprofit association. Met him. I talked to him and he said, Karen, you seem really smart. And I said, well, I don't know about that. And he said, but could you sit down and talk to me? I said, I am happy to. Didn't know anything, didn't know who he was, didn't know anything about sports, didn't know anything about NIL. We sat down at a dive barbecue place, and all these people are coming up high-fiving him. And I said, Keith, are you famous? And he said, no, Karen. And I go home and I said, oh my God, you guys are really famous. So he was finishing up his Emory MBA at the time. And I said, listen, I believe you're onto something. And I don't know anything about the sport, but I'm a believe in the jockey. Right. I mean, if you've got a good jockey, absolutely. I don't care what race it is, they'll figure it out. And Keith was one I said, he and Aaron, they'll figure it out. So I said, here's the deal. You give up those high-paid consulting jobs that they've offered you, give them back their signing bonuses. I'll put the first check in. So I put the very first check in, the very first check when there was nothing more than a small business plan. Then I got the Tim Draper to put the second check in.
Oh, yeah.
And for those of you who don't know, Tim Draper is one of the very famous, wonderful, amazing venture capitalists who's been around for years. Saw the vision, said the same thing, quote, he said, Karen, I don't know who's going to win in this space, but there's going to be some winners, and Keith and Aaron are some of those winners.
That's awesome.
And so I say that again because as you think about who you associate with, what you get passionate about, it's one of my greatest joys is being able to, whether it's people in, young women in Tanzania, whether it's people in Indonesia, people in the Himalayas, and, whatever it might be, or young entrepreneurs like Keith, I get excited. Another great one that I invested in, again, it's a great company here in town, a wonderful CEO, Christy Brown. She runs something called Dr. Knows Best. And for any of you out there that are young mothers or getting for a baby shower gift, call me, because it's that thing where you
baby shower. We
baby
got a few
shower
of those coming up. We got a few of those coming up.
Well, you suck the snot out of the kid's nose.
Yeah.
Well, this is a snot sucker, but it's a professional one, started by a guy out of Emory. He's heads up the pediatrics, I believe, center there. Started there because he saw these parents coming in with screaming, and all they needed was a better nose sucker, whatever those things are called. Anyways, but great female CEO, and she had a bunch of men on her cap table. And I said, Christy, time out.
Yeah.
We need women on your cap table. So I got out and got a group of about 15 women. We put almost $250,000 in her company. And then all of a sudden, we've got some great women on her cap table.
That's awesome.
Love it because she's a terrific CEO. It's a terrific company. We need to get women because that also gets that next generation. Once you angel invest, and I'm sure you've seen this as well, you've done it. Once you start to angel invest and you have a win, or even if you have a loss, you get so addicted to it. And it's you're thinking you're helping the next generation. Yeah. And again, you're not giving, you're enabling. And each and every one, when you talk about MSA, Sig Mosley is one of my heroes. I actually got the Siggy's Award, which was named after him. It was the Sig Mosley Awards. I got the one last year. The number of companies, they actually did a, family tree. And there were hundreds of companies that were formed from the MSA kids, and then the grandkids, and then the great-grandkids. Amazing how many companies. I don't even want to guess how much wealth. I'm sure it's billions, if not more, here in Atlanta, and the number of entrepreneurs that started because they had some connection to MSA.
Absolutely.
John Emley, Sig Mosley did that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and like I said, it's almost kind of like as you get. I mean, I'm way past half a century old, moving on. But as you get older, you look back and you want, like, I wish I wouldn't change my life one bit.
I agree.
But I would like to have the wisdom that I have now.
Then
I wouldn't change anything, but I'd like to see it. And it's just great because you can see people and you know that you can see what they can achieve before they can.
100% correct.
Because you see like their mannerisms,
Yes.
their attitude, their work ethic. And I think that to me, like picking winners, I hate when they say it's not a freaking horse race. It's a life that creates employment for other people and other good things. Businesses are really kind of life organisms themselves. But yeah, it's different. I coached for 22 years,
Same thing.
sports and stuff. So
Same thing. You know that.
You see that one kid that everyone thinks, and you're like, that little guy's going to be the superstar.
Superstar.
So
It's going to change a whole bunch of lives. Yeah, it's something I've got right now. I've got a portfolio of probably about 15 companies that I'm an angel investor. I'm on the board of a couple of them. And I'm proud to say that probably almost half of them are either underrepresented minorities or female CEOs,
awesome.
which is, again, and I wouldn't say, I'm saying I'm intentional about it, but I wouldn't say I picked the CEOs. I picked great companies that were run by great individuals who just happened to be a person of color or a woman. And I'm super proud of that.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I mean, and as far as I think, I don't like the gender division personally.
No, I don't either.
I don't like it at all. And I mean, like we get into deep conversations with that, but it does. I mean, you see certain people, like you can see yourself as that, 28-year-old VP of sales, and you're like, oh, that was me, So it's a relatability thing, and also, men with baby products and stuff, we don't know what the hell we're doing. I mean, don't get pissed off about it. You don't know what the hell you're doing. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. They're doing it. It's cool. Just relax. Take it.
Yep.
And I don't want to suck the snot out of someone's nose anyway. So
you want a device to do that.
Yeah.
It's been a great company. It's super. It's a rocket ship. It's doing phenomenal.
Makes sense.
One of the things that I get asked a lot, and I get asked to speak, because again, I was one of the first female CEOs, one of the first ones in the South that raised money. And I'm very open about my failures, and people love to hear me talk about them. Well, I don't want you to make the same mistake because I already failed at that. Yeah. So let me tell you. But quite often young men will ask me, they said, I've got a daughter, she's 10, 15, 20. What advice? And I have two pieces of advice that I would give that I think you'll appreciate, be it in sports.
Yeah. I have a daughter.
And you have a daughter, which is, again, changes your whole lens on everything. Yeah. The two things that I love to tell people, and again, the first thing I say is don't be afraid of failure. I think quite often men, they just, for some reason, they're more comfortable with it. I think, and I'll talk in a moment about sports, because I think that ties directly to it. But one of the things I tell women, and I said, especially in corporate jobs, I mean, that's a great time, forgive me here, corporations, it's a great time to fail. Yeah. Because no matter what.
on your dime.
Because no matter what you do, you're not going to change the trajectory of NBC or First Data or whoever it might be, AT&T, for the failure. And that's a good time to learn. Risk, learn how to make decisions, and you do this every day. 90%. If you're waiting to 100% to make your decision, you've missed the boat. Right. So make it comfortable, and then course correct. If it's a mistake, it's a failure, then say, you know what? Own it. I failed. Yeah. Here's what I learned from it. And oh, by the way, here's what just happened to be the circumstances. We talked a little earlier about 2001. There were a lot of great companies that failed, that were doing everything right. Yeah. And you need to say, you know what? I grieve that, but I couldn't have changed that. Yeah. So what did I do?
We hung on by a string and swung through that shitty 4.5 year period.
That's exactly, and I say that all the time. It's as important, as I said, to learn. I screwed up here. I won't do that again. Here's what I learned. Here's what I couldn't have changed, and that just sucks, and that's life, and you just got to get over it. And I use that. The other thing I tell, and you will really appreciate that, is I tell not only men but women, get your kids in sports. Yeah. Team sports is such an amazing thing. You learn how to win. Yep. You learn how to lose. Yep. You learn how to train. You learn how to, when life doesn't feel good, you stick with it, the discipline. So that's the two things I think, and I speak quite a bit about that. Fail, and then learn from it. Yeah. And for God's sakes, get on a sports team. Whether you win or lose, doesn't matter. Just that process is just critical for life as well as for entrepreneurship.
Yeah, absolutely. And sports teach that too. I mean, one of the best I did a week coach for a long time, but one of the best seasons we ever had, they were little guys. We were like last in the thing. They started getting better. We were like 2-6 going in, started getting better, and won the thing. And I told them at the end, I'm like, you lost by a point here. You lost by 3 points here. You like any circumstance in life can traject and change, and you lose for whatever reason.
100% correct.
If it happened 99 times again, you probably would have won 97 times. So people, I think the journey of
100%.
is part of the learning process. And let's be honest. Every failure to me, I have a hard time with the term failure because I'm like,
Setbacks.
Hey,
Yeah.
if you're dumb, you're not in the spot you're in.
Right.
If you're running a business, you're not dumb.
Right.
So one bad decision based on market data or a bad advisor or someone telling you to chase something else can change your trajectory. Is it a failure? There's a million things that are happening that cause us to go forward, backwards, or whatever it may be. So, and I'm not everyone have a safe space and get a trophy.
That's not
I'm not
you.
that guy.
You're not that guy.
But I do think like failure to me is you're gonna fail.
Right.
Yeah. What sport team have you been on and you went undefeated your whole life? Zero. And you to go undefeated in anything or have a long run of success in anything it's not the norm.
It's not the norm.
Yeah.
So one of the things, and I'm sure you've used this, the other thing I say all the time to so many entrepreneurs, because it's hard being an entrepreneur. It's not a glorious lifestyle. I mean, remember the high points, which are when you're ringing the stock market bell, a wonderful thing. When you're helping, when that first customer buys multiple times, great thing. But I say all the time, it's not a sprint. It's a marathon. Yeah. And when you recognize it's a marathon, and I don't know if you've ever run. Have you ever run one of those?
Not a full marathon.
Okay.
No.
Well, I ran the New York one.
Biathlon.
Oh, that's even harder. Harder.
And I never did again.
That's harder.
I checked it off.
Well, I did the New York Marathon because I thought, everybody should do that, right? And about mile,
everybody
should do that.
Hey, get out and run that this year.
Get out and run that. So about mile 13, and I didn't really know what mile was. I'm thinking, I can die. I can just go here and get in the curb and lie down. And then I remembered everybody I love is at the end. Yeah. So you just got to pick yourself up and keep going those last 13 miles because that's when you can have the big chocolate bar.
Oh, yeah. That's why chocolate's so motivational.
That's why chocolate's so motivational. Yeah. And everybody you love's there too as well.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, I think that the thing is that's even from a physical pain side or mental pain side and even business pain side, financial, whatever it may be. I mean, like everything will pass.
Right.
Like if you're having a shitty day,
everything
will pass. The sun will come out. I'm going to sing my little bastard song. The sun will come out. But anyways, sorry. You knew I'd do some of that.
I knew you'd do it.
So anyway. But yeah, so I love the advice. And I think one of the things that we're trying to do here with this, this podcast is get people that have experiences and knowledge and whatever it may be. And the next episode we have someone coming on, a buddy of mine he's fought cancer for a while and he's coming out on the back end. And like he said, I want to tell my story.
Yes.
And I think it's so important with the rise in cancer and what's happening. And it's just, that's what this is. It's really about you, Karen.
Thank you.
So this is the Karen we all love. Not don't be a Karen.
Not that Karen. That's right. I don't want that Karen.
Let's be fair. This is the Karen we love.
Not that Karen. I did feel like, why? What? I don't want to be that Karen.
Yeah, no, she's the good Karen. So let's don't give all the Karens a bad name because she's a good one.
That'd be fun. Have a good time.
So
Blessed to be in Atlanta.
Yeah, she loves Atlanta. I love Atlanta. I grew up in Sandy Springs, Buckhead, all the good stuff. It was a good time. We're really excited to be getting back involved in the music scene and doing some things here with Live Music Junkies. Gina was on the show. She's awesome.
That's great.
So we've got a surprise for everyone. I'm not allowed to tell. They told me I can't say under NDA. I'm not allowed to say some stuff. So, but I want to.
Come on,
I already told the team behind.
You can whisper
I already want to, but they're like, shut up. So stay tuned. But the music side is really exciting. Well, I mean, anything. This is about you. Like anything you would want to share. I love you and your husband's relationship too. He's a super nice guy. I won't go too personal on him. Sorry, but he's a really good guy. Hey, Rick.
You know what? I'm blessed. Not my first, but it's the right one. And we've been married 27 years. He likes to say, I like to say, well, sometimes I work for him, sometimes he works for me. So when we first got married, he actually was my CTO. And he had given up. He was the CEO of a fuel cell company back when those were kind of vogue. He was the CEO of a fuel cell company up in New Jersey. And we started dating, and he said, we can each, I'll move to Atlanta, and I can still run the company. He said, we can each run companies, and we'll never, we'll be working 80 hours a day, and we'll never have anything in common other than quickly, whatever.
Dinner on Tuesday.
Dinner on Tuesdays. And he said, you know what? So he resigned, sold his stock, and he started working for me. That's awesome. And a funny story. It was a funny story.
He's a smart guy, by the way.
He's a
super smart guy.
He ran in, funny, I was at an event the other night for ACG, and my husband is one of the few people who've gotten for 2 different companies top 5 fastest growing companies in Atlanta for 2 different companies as CEO.
Crazy.
He did the big LED displays, and then he did suppressors.
Yeah.
So he's really, he's. I think there's a third one coming. Just stay tuned. Stay tuned.
NDA, hold on.
NDA, stay tuned.
We'll follow back up on that one too. Then we'll release the music side.
Stay tuned on that one. But it's truly blessed, and I think marriage is a great institution. I know a lot of people are kind of down on it now, but I am blessed every day. My husband and I, he truly is my best friend. As I said, we've been married 27 years now. We have our 22-year-old daughter who she's the best of both of us. We are crazy about her. I'm going to give a shout out to Bank of America. Thanks, team. She starts with Bank of America in about 3 months.
Baby.
B of A, yeah. So she starts with them. She interned last summer. She got a couple job offers, and she took that one. And so I want to be our kids. You probably feel the same way. Yeah. When I grow up, I want to be my kid or our kids because she just finished up she goes to Elon University.
Oh, that's great.
Part of their fellows program, and she actually had a consulting project in Prague that their whole 10 or 12 of their classmates spent a semester kind of doing a business plan for this company that was trying to expand, a travel company. So they went to Prague about 3 weeks ago and presented their findings, and I thought, when we were in college, we got to go to, we maybe got to go to Sacramento.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't. Maybe. I was just on a Tybee Island drinking out of a keg.
Yes. That's it. They get to, and so she is literally getting off. She graduates, and then we're going to meet her over in Portugal, which is a new place to go. So we're going to spend some time in Lisbon with the family, and then husband and I are empty nesters again. So there you go. So
well, they'll come back.
They come back and absolutely love it. And it's kind of fun because we do have my mother. So now my 90-year-old mother lives with us. So
I'm coming to see you. I heard you're a good cook.
Mima would love you anytime you want. Brad, you just tell her, and she will just every day she'll bring us a little sack lunch for you with little cookies or something.
What? Who's this? Why is this Brad guy? Who is this guy?
She's gonna love. She's already. She's yes. So no running around the house naked at least.
Well, can't promise that.
Can't promise
that. Don't get tequila in me, or you're in trouble.
Yeah. Trying to think if there's anything else. As I said, I'm excited about. I'm also excited about Atlanta because you've got so many. We're becoming a leader in so many right now. Again, with the Players Lounge, and you look at Brinks TV and so forth. You look at you guys. Yeah. There's so much happening now in the sports kind of entertainment world. We've got professional teams, maybe winning this year. Professional teams, but you've got fintech. You've got clearly with David Cummings and all he's done with the sales enablement. We've become a leader in the world for that.
Yeah, he's done a really good job.
Now, clean energy. So again, I was with the governor 2 nights ago and just talking about how much Atlanta, Georgia is doing about clean energy. And to think about, we've got so much open space.
I think you should run for governor.
No. Yeah. But I'd be more than happy to. If you run, I'll be your campaign manager.
We're in trouble if I'm running. All right. Fridays are off.
Fridays are off. That's exactly correct. 4-day week weeks.
That's right. Yeah. Well, yeah, no, it's always, it's funny though, because you've been involved in it and I've been involved. That's like when people are, oh, Atlanta. I'm like, if you're in Atlanta, you know the things that are going on and the companies that are here. And so it's that old Silicon Valley. Don't think I forgot we're coming after you. But, well, I hope that all your ventures are going to be successful. I know that. I'm really interested in the Himalayas and what you're doing in that area. That's really cool. And as far as what we're doing, we like to support we just did the Kyle Pease Foundation through the Georgia Hemp Company. Those guys are great. Kyle Pease doing great things for kids with disability.
That's so cool. So
in sports. It's so awesome. And it's just, we just want to be one loving, huggy community.
I love loving and hugging.
We're kind of derelicts, but like we're not totally derelicts. But we our intentions are good, and we want to do good things. So if we can ever help you or
I
help your
appreciate that.
causes, I would love to do it.
I appreciate that. I will give out a plug in particular to hcc.org. They've been in the Himalayas for 25 years. It's funded by Bruce and Susan Keenan are amazing, but we're probably impacting hundreds and hundreds of kids. We see them all the way through school. Most of these kids they either have one parent or no parents, so they're sort of orphans. Again, there's been a lot of natural disaster there, and yet when I see the resilience, one of my good friends, JP James, who runs Hive Financial here in town, he does probably once a month. He's doing a kind of a Zoom learning for them to teach them about, P&L and teach them about sustainability and leadership. And so I'd love to have you. You need to come on one of those because it's a great thing. Time difference is a little tough because it's about 12 hours difference. So,
We did work in Australia and I got used to it.
You know that. That's exactly correct. But it's just the one thing I would encourage all the listeners out here, the folks that are watching and so forth, find something you're passionate about. We in America are so blessed. You get caught up in all the divisiveness, the social media, the news. I don't even want to read it anymore, watch it, because it's just so negative. America is a great country.
Awesome.
We've got our faults, but look at how many folks we're helping, how many folks are starting companies, all the technology and so forth. So the one thing I challenge you is find something that you are passionate about that you can give back, because that's what we're here on earth to do, is to figure out how to give back and make the world a better place. You do that.
Absolutely.
I love that about you. Brinkus does that. I love that about him. That's what we need to be doing that.
And I think if you do that and you find people like that, you're all trying to do loftier things that make an impact. You're not worried about all the chintzy bullshit, which political party, all this horse shit going on. And you got to start in your community, and you got to start with yourself.
You've got to start 100% correct.
And you can't wait for people to save you. If you're waiting, I have best saying that if you're waiting, you're a slave if you're waiting for someone to save you.
That's exactly
correct.
No
one's going to save you. As Karen said, I don't want to take from what she said because it was beautiful, and I'm going to say something probably like a derelict. So I'm not going to end on what I was going to say. What you said was perfect, and the meaning was very strong, and I don't want to ruin that. I love you. I think you're awesome.
I love you too, buddy.
You're a lot better looking than me, but if I was a woman, I would be you. I would be Karen. I met my spiritual woman, whatever.
Spiritual animal. There we go.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on here and just spend time with us, because I know you're like, what is this going to be like? But I hope it was a good experience for you. Good.
Fun. I think we need to talk to your agent about doing this on a regular basis.
I don't have an agent because they can't deal with me because I've got ADD. And Karen's in, she's like, oh, shit, there's a butterfly. Brad's chasing it off around the building. So.
That's right. Squirrel.
Well, you're awesome.
Thank you so much, my friend.
Like I say, if you want to model yourself after a good human being, I would say Karen is a very good person. So today here we are talking to Karen Robinson Cope. You're listening to the SaltyMF Go podcast. So Salty Nation, until next week, let's go!
Go Salty!
Let's go! Get a little alone. There's nothing left